Hello, hello. Welcome back to Hey Boo Women's Network. And here we are with Meet a Boo Sister. My name is Mary Grace Iniguez, and I am the founder of Hey Boo. Here we are with another Boo Sister, and I'm so excited. Y'all know this is my favorite time because then I get to have one-on-one with my Boo Sisters. And also, my second favorite thing to do is to obviously introduce them to you. So today we have Karen Williams. She is my sister at heart, so I'm super excited for this interview, and I know that everyone who has connected with her will agree. So Karen is a relation. You know what? I'm not even gonna. Karen, tell us who you are and what you do first.
Oh my God, I see where this is going already. Hello, everyone. First of all, Mary Gaze, of course, as always, thank you so much for the opportunity to even, sit on this stage, this platform, share this space with you. Again, I'm Karen Williams. I am a relationship coach. I'm here in Las Vegas. I started my practice about 5 years ago. Yeah, it's been 5 years. I've been in the coaching space for over 20 years, and my focus has always been couples. However, I've recently branched out into small businesses, teams, and just trying to get everybody to have a good understanding of the relationships that they have, connect better when they do meet others, and of course, establish healthy relationships. I'm also an author, speaker, and conference host, and all the things. And again, always happy to be here with you.
Yes, obviously, I'm always happy to be here. And I could only do that for you. I could only do that to you where I'm like, introduce yourself. So, what inspired you to start your coaching practice?
The inspiration ranges. I mean, it is such a wide range of reasons, I should say. First, I started volunteering at my local church, just helping couples have healthy relationships and, just love each other. And not just love in the sense of the word love, but enjoy their marriage, enjoy their relationship. And I started learning from the more couples I coach, I started learning that a lot of people didn't have vision or goal for their marriage. So in other words, they had no idea why they were together. They couldn't understand their why. They just knew at some point they got married. And as time went on, it went back to understanding that most of them did not start out with the foundation necessary to build a healthy marriage, a loving marriage, a consistent marriage. They didn't have the tools to do that. So I thought maybe if I'm able to create a space for couples to come, gain the tools they need before making the big decision of getting married, then it could be, it could be successful. It never was started just so I can make money or create a legacy, or some people say. No, I really wanted to give couples the tools that they needed to actually have a healthy marriage going forward. I just don't understand how we do more work or put in more effort to do the investigation on how to buy a car, how to buy a home, and we don't do the research necessary to actually build a marriage. Focus
Yeah,
is
it's
always the wedding,
crazy.
never the marriage. And so, of course,
Yeah, you're right
definitely
about that.
to do that. Yeah,
Always get super excited for just being asked and then now planning the wedding.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people, for some reason, they think that, yes, marriage relationship, romantic relationships does have that deeper element
Hmm.
of intimacy. However, when we're talking about relationships, the way we connect, the way we love each other, the way we care for each other, it's all very similar. I remember I was talking to a client of mine, and their struggle was communication. He has a highly stressful job here in Las Vegas. And so I asked him, when you approach your work, what are some of the techniques that you use? And in going into the techniques, I could see the light bulb coming on for him, because he's realizing that I could actually use these same techniques and navigate my relationship, my romantic relationship. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about respect for each other. So if I respect you, I'm going to give you space. I'm going to give you or I'm setting aside space. I am also going to give you the honor of listening and hearing you out, and connect in that way to where we can build and move and deepen from there. So when we're talking about Even this, in the small business space, for example, when we're talking about how do we navigate, say, conflict resolution with a team, hey, those are the same way we navigate them in our relationship. First thing, as a team leader, you want to make sure that you are communicating the vision of your business to your team. What is the one thing that connects them all? Because all the other things that may divide them, you have to first, as a business owner, be able to communicate to them, hey, this is the one thing that's going to connect us. This is the vision of this particular company. This is what we want at the end of the day. So if we can all connect on that platform, then we can move forward. The thing is, as business owners, a lot of times we fail at communicating exactly what the expectations are and what the vision is for that group or that dynamic. And so go just say, comparing that to marriage, same thing. Your marriage need a goal. You need a purpose. You need something that will connect you both on the same platform, on the same journey. You both cannot be going in two separate directions as a married couple.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get a little personal, but that's what we do here.
That's all right.
So are you married, and how has that like infused what you do?
So Rob and I have been, my husband's Rob. It's my gosh, my dude. Really, he's really so my dude, really. We've been married 32 years, 33 this year. I had to ask him the other day, I'm like, dude, how long have we been married again? Because we forget. But yeah, we've been married for 32 years. We have 4 children together. One of our middle sons passed away in 2021, so we have one in heaven, 3 here. And we also are grandparents of 4 amazing little humans. But, of course, a lot of what I even implement in my coaching are things that we've learned. The first 3 years of our marriage, we were just kind of, floundering, trying to figure it out. And so we knew what we did not want. However, we didn't really know what is it that we needed, the tools, how we can apply that. My method of communication, especially during conflict, was just to shut down because I didn't have the tools necessary to even navigate a hard conversation. I always felt judged because, childhood traumas and all of that kind of, what they say, kind of help, determine or establish that identity there, or as unhealthy identity, you will call it. But some of those things obviously were unhealthy for both of us, and it used to frustrate my husband so much because he's an engineer by trade, so he's detailed and meticulous and problem solving, problem solving focused basically. And so when we would have conflict or when we would have issues that need resolving and I didn't have the tools to go down that journey with him, of course he's pulling his hair out, and of course the same problem would arise again and again and again. And so we decided to invest in ourselves individually and then as a couple. So almost all of our money during that time went into women's conferences, men's conference, and marriage conferences. Those were the platforms where we learned how to first apply the word of God to our marriage, apply that to our individual self individually, how to be a woman of God first, how to be a man of God, and then how to establish a godly relationship, a godly marriage, what that looks like. And the biggest lesson I think I learned during that season was my marriage doesn't have to look like yours. My marriage or your marriage doesn't have to look like mine. What are both of you bringing to the relationship or contributing to the relationship? We're not talking about what you bring into the table. That's not the term I even want to focus on. But what am I contributing to this relationship? What are you contributing to the relationship? Because coming together, you are creating something that's brand new, something that never existed before. So how do we bring everything that God has placed individually in each of us and create and build this brand new thing? Did we see 32 years ago? No, we did not. We got married and we literally said to each other, let's give this 3 years and see what happens. No lie. We're like, at the time we lived in Italy, and I was in the military, and of course my husband followed me, and we had it was a 3-year term. So I had to at least live in the country for 3 years. And I said, well, when I get divorced in Europe,
Like
when I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, we were just crazy.
sometimes I feel like in the beginning that is how it is.
So we both say, yeah, let's see what happened after 3 years. Well,
Yeah.
30 plus years later, here we are, just
That's
enjoying, because we're empty nesters now. So we're really, my friend Dr. Marianne, she she agreed that, hey, empty nesting is really the time of our lives. It is. These little people are gone. They're living their own lives, proud of them, doing what they do. And now here we are like, okay, what do we do next? So
yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome. So tell me something about being, that word empty nesters as
Hmm.
well, playing with the fact of bringing more little chicklings into the world. But for anyone that is also empty nester, what is one thing that I'm going to ask you one thing you love and
Hmm.
something you've learned, loved and learned, and then
Hmm.
something that you were like, not negative, but that's why I don't want
Right,
to say the word. Oh,
right. So I'll say the first thing that I do love about empty nesting is Rob and I are really getting the opportunity to even discover each other a lot more. We have really deep conversations. We love the fact that we get to travel, so as you know, we're gone every year. We're like, okay, let's pick a country and let's go explore it.
yeah, they
And so we,
literally just shut everyone out and they go.
it's, don't
I
call
love that.
me. We don't know you. The phones are off. The email's not working. And we take our annual sabbatical. We've been doing this since 2012. And that's definitely what I do love about it. One of the things that we're learning about each other, I'm thinking that I can do some amazing things. I literally wrote 2 books while I'm empty nesting, start a whole business, and to see, being on stage and to see my husband in the back of the room just cheering me on in his amazing way. Because, he's super quiet, but really he's not that quiet. Don't tell him I tell you all that. He's not. Get him talking about things he loves, he's not quiet.
Yeah.
But he's more of an introvert than I am. And so I'd say though, one thing that would probably be on the negative would, there's some days when I do miss my kids. I do miss, popping by their room, seeing how they're doing. It's a fun side of it too, because then I get to go visit. Because my youngest actually live in Iceland. My daughter-in-law is Icelandic, and so they have settled in Iceland. So we get to travel to Iceland every year. So I mean, I can't even see that as
Yeah.
a negative,
Yeah,
really.
that's fun.
No, and oh, I guess Rob would probably say one of the negatives. I don't cook every day anymore.
Hmm.
There's no littles to feed.
I know that was like a pro for me. I'm like, oh, I don't have to cook that much. I could just cook like
Right.
one. You could go eat out, cool, every day if we needed to. Because when because you had all boys, I have one
Right.
boy, and they can
Yeah.
eat.
And girl, tie down the couch because they will eat that.
Yes.
They will eat anything that's not nailed down. But
Wow.
the fun side also is, of course, being grandparents now. We get to really have the fun with our grandkids because I think one of the kids mentioned at some point that, of course, being grandparents, we get to do things with our grandchildren that financially, we just simply could not afford when our children were younger. And I saw that same pattern with my mom. My mom did things with my kids that we simply couldn't do, with them. And so one of my middle grandkids just got their passport. So we are so excited.
Damn. He's ready to go with you, Rob.
Yeah, they're like, Grandma, where are we going? So we're starting out in Canada to see how he does.
I love it. I agree with you that that is one of it's not a negative, it's just one of the things that you miss. And it is
Yes.
that, being able to just walk by their room. But
Hmm.
also the beauty and the joy is,
Yeah.
for me, is seeing his life and his now fiance, their life unravel. Like
Exactly.
me, for to see that from afar, I'm like, oh my God, that's so, to be alive, to even just be here and witness that. And then,
Yes.
you know, crossing fingers, maybe I become a glamour. Like,
Mhm.
so
Well,
I agree with
the
you.
timing is perfect, though. I really believe
Yeah.
that the timing for them is always going to be on time because, I mean, God knows.
God knows when that'll be. Thank you. Thank you
Exactly.
for sharing, and thank you
Of
for
course.
giving us more insight into you and your family.
Yeah.
So back to your entrepreneurial journey. What has your entrepreneurial journey like look like for you, and what have you learned from it?
Oh, gosh. So many lessons. I was meeting with my mentor yesterday. Um, and we laugh about this because there's so many lessons that that we've learned. But one of the things we both agreed on just how much we really thought that we weren't that smart. That's no lie. We're going into this thing thinking, oh my God, how in the world is this gonna pan out? But just jumping into it from the start. The first thing is I saw that there was a need. I saw that there are couples that are, if I don't step in at this point, there are going to be things that people won't learn. I don't know. Obviously, it may not be the entire world, but whoever this small niche of people are, that's who God has called me to. And if I don't step up to the plate, there's going to be something missing in their life, because I truly believe that part of my purpose is to help people with their relationships so that it's not a distraction to the things that God has called them to do. Because you and I know if our relationship is jacked, and I don't know if jacked is in the dictionary, but if your relationship is jacked
Our
up,
dictionary.
you are distracted from anything that you're stepping into. If my relationship with Rob was trash, there's no way that I could pursue this line of work. It's just not possible, right? And so if I'm able to help, couples do what they do, I know that, hey, I'm on the right path. Then, I remember Rob saying to me, he's like, I thought you were just gonna get certified and then just coach people. What is this book writing and speaking engagement? And dude, I didn't see it coming either. Didn't. I did not. I didn't know you had all of this going on. I mean, learning lessons on the journey has been amazing. First of all, I dropped this little tidbit. I'm not a name dropper, so you already know that about me. But to have a New York Times best-selling author as my mentor, it was unheard of. That's one of the things I told her yesterday. I said when I read her first book in 1998, us crossing paths, if somebody had told me that, I would like whatever. I don't know what I say. I don't know what time capsule you're looking into, but that's not possible. And so we both
And let
laughed
me
about it.
interrupt you because you're giving her a lot of clout. But first of all, this author asked you to be on her stage, to speak on her stage before she became your mentor. So I need to throw that in there.
She did.
And she
She
is
did.
amazing. She is. She
Yeah,
is.
I was the first. I was the first guest on her virtual fireside chat.
Mhm.
That just girl, that's one of the things I learned. And again, we were talking about that yesterday in our conversation. One of the things I learned is, for one, your gift will make room for you. You don't have to kick doors open. You don't have to climb over people. You don't have to destroy connections for God to use you in the areas that He wants you to be used in. He will open the doors in time. So again, just having that connection was mind blowing. I still pinch myself because I'm like, I'm actually having a conversation with Kimberla. I'm like, okay, okay, God, you. Because that's the awesome thing about walking by faith in this journey. Because as you know, God is the center of my life. Literally the core. My decisions are all made from that premise. And as I'm taking the next steps, it's like literally stepping. All I see is the next step to take. I don't see the whole big picture because I'm thinking 5 years ago, if I saw all of the in between, the messy middle, as I call it, would I have made that step? I don't know. I don't know if I would want to deal with that. I don't know if I would want to be, if I want to deal with some of the negativity that comes with entrepreneurship and some of the things that unfortunately some of the stereotypes that women are known for. I don't know if I would want to even be a part of that. I'm okay over here in my corner, Lord. What is this? Why are you taking me through this? But the good thing was he reminded me that I'm the one taking you through. You're not doing this by yourself. So the relationships that I'm calling you to, the alignments that I am setting up for you, they're all me. So I just need you to show up and I'll do the rest. So that's the major part of the journey. That's always going to be part of the journey, or the center of the journey, I should say. I learned obviously a lot about myself as an individual, that I can do hard stuff. I really can do hard things. I remember sitting down with you, and I was looking at my roadmap yesterday again. And I remember sitting down with you, a year or two ago, just putting the roadmap for me and my business on paper. And I went back looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, check, 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 and check. We did this. We did it. We really did it. And I said, God, I remember writing those things down in your office, and I'm thinking, I don't know how in the world this stuff.
You were having hesitations. You're like, what? Really?
You're like,
Okay, I'll put that down.
you're like, write it down. I'm like, okay, put it down. And here we are. Here we are. God is good. He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I remember that so
Yeah.
like just like it was yesterday. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, we're going on to 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
Oh my goodness. Such a great question. Because the hardest thing for me is to convince couples that are getting married that they need this before. Because every single couple that I talk to that's been married for any length of time, and I mean any length, whether it's a year, 2 years, 25 years, 30 years, every single couple say the same thing. I wish I had deep, good, sound premarital tools before going in. Because premarital coaching or counseling or whatever premarital education that you get, it doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges. It just means that you're prepared, Having homeowners insurance doesn't mean your house won't get destroyed in a
Yeah.
tornado. It just means that you are prepared. You can build back from it because the foundation never goes anywhere. You can build again on the same foundation. I saw during COVID that so many marriages were dissolved. So many relationships came to that crossroad. And it's simply because they started spending time with each other and they started learning that this is not my person anymore. Well, what happened, get there? How did we end up with a relationship that's no longer feeding us? Or did it ever feed you? Had it ever fed you? You know? What were the red flags that you ignored during the courtship? What are some of the things that you chose to build, that blind, what do you call it, that blind spots? What were those blind spots that you put in place to protect yourself? Well, I remember having a couple, and I quote, I don't want to do your program because I'm afraid of what it will reveal. That's like saying, hey, I'm just going to build this
Even more
house.
reason. There's
I'm
even
not,
more reason to
okay.
do it.
Exactly. You build your house on the sand and ignore the fact that the sand is moving underneath. You want to deal with that. You want to shore up your foundation with the tools that we offer in our comprehensive premarital program. You want that. I mean, I've had two couples that called off their wedding as a result of the work. My goal is not to call off the wedding, trust me. It's really just to give you the tools necessary to really deepen your relationship and create that solid foundation to build on. So if I would say one thing, there's so many others, but if I say one top thing that I want everybody to learn is please get premarital work before walking down the aisle. Please. Did I say please?
That's good. What is your why that keeps you going on the tough days of being an entrepreneur?
The why is always the people. It's always the people. I truly believe that if your vision does not involve people, then do you really have a vision? And let me say it this way. Your vision has to be people-centered, because if not, it's self-centered. And if you're building a business from the premise of self-centeredness, well, I mean, you can probably decide how that's going to end for you. Yeah, you may make a lot of money, but you're going to get to the end of it and feel unfulfilled, because if it's self-centered, God is not at the center. God is always at the center where the people are. That's the reason Jesus came. That's the reason God does what he does. It's always people centered. And so that is always my why. And so like the days, and the days when I call you and say, girl, I want to quit. I'm done with these heathens. I'm tired of people talking about me. I can't be I cannot.
Even.
I cannot. Like my girlfriend always call them these Cushites. Now let me tell you what a Cushite is. Get a little bit of Bible.
What?
A Cushite is really from the Old Testament, and it's the descendants of the descendants of Noah's son Cush. So go read your Bible and you figure it out. And so it's and some biblical scholars believe that's where the people of Africa came from. The lineage of Cush. And so, not 100% sure how they determine that, but that's, side note. Total rabbit trail over there. But yeah, the thing is, if people was the reason that I started, and people has to be the reason that I stayed. So even days when I'll call you frustrated and say, Mary Grace, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of these people. I'm tired of how other people view me. Tired of those things. And you again, you're quickly reminded, because out of the blue you'll get a phone call. Like yesterday I got a 4-minute phone call from a former client. I'm still like, girl, I didn't think you were listening to anything I was saying. And to see her life transformed, not necessarily the way that I had hoped for her, but the things that she learned has created a whole new direction for her life. And I said, God, that's, yeah, I get it now. I get it. The thing is, I have to stop thinking that I'm responsible for the outcome of every client. And the moment I got to that freedom, and it was easier, I don't know if easier is the word, but it became more palatable to be able to say, all right, I'm just going to leave that in God's hands, or just relax and not thinking that I have to be responsible for the outcome of their coaching.
Yeah, because that could be difficult, especially in the business that we do, right? Like even in marketing, is you want to make sure that they get the end result, they get that what they want.
Exactly.
Sometimes we do the best that we can, and maybe on the other end, it's now they have to take that, the tools and the resources, and now implement and take it the way that they're going to implement it into their lives. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that could be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, my last question before we drop all your contact information so everyone could get in contact with you is,
Okay.
what is one advice you would give to another woman building their dreams, building their business?
Don't stop showing up. Don't. Don't stop showing up. That was one of the things that, when I first started, I felt so scattered. I felt like I was running here, just grasping at straws. Like, should I show up here? Should I befriend this person? Should I connect with this person? Should I get the coaching from this person? Should I hire this business coach? And so it felt like so much noise. And I said, God, let me just step back out of the noise, and you orchestrate my feet. You determine the connections that I'm going to have. Show me the people that I should align myself with or connect with. And I remember attending your first event. As for those that don't know, I stalked Mary Grace for probably about a year on social media before I even connected with her. Then I
That's why
reached.
it's important to show up on social media, because people like Karen be stalking you.
Yep. I mean, I barely liked anything. And then she got my attention when she, because I said, okay, let me follow her. And then she followed back. It's like, okay. And then I just started watching her content. And then I remember you offer if you attend like your first event, it's completely free. You get to check it out for free and get to have a conversation with you. And I was like, okay. So I, showed up, and I remember saying to God, is this the space for me? Is this the space? And clearly, clear as day, you keep showing up and I'll do the rest. And that has been my mantra. show up. And when I say show up, don't just show up mediocre. Show up for others. Show up for other people. Because for some reason you show up for other people and God does something with that seed. And no bragging, but let me tell you how my life has changed based on showing up. I have never had speaking engagement booked months out, much more into next year. And I'm looking at my calendar and I'm thinking, babe, how many of these can you show up to? I'm telling my husband, you're gonna need the time off on this day and that day and this day, because we got things to do. Even so, God is steady orchestrating how I do what I do. And I don't know if your faith involves God, involves who Jesus is in your life. Whatever it is that you put your belief in, you have to trust that. That's your thing. For me, I knew what was calling me to do. In other words, I understood my purpose. And so I was able to say, all right, God, I'm going to keep showing up. I don't know what you're going to take these parts, these seeds, and do with it, but you do what you do. The thing is, when I show up for others, the big God of this universe shows up for me. Now, I can't out God. So let me tell you, I can't even explain it. I mean, I was sitting there with my mentor yesterday, just like, girl, I don't understand any of this. I'm just here for the ride. So my seatbelt's buckled, in other words. So keep showing up, keep going to the events that you truly feel led to, what you feel heart centered towards. Again, not just anything, just don't spread yourself thin, but be intentional about a few and nurture those few.
You're so great at that. Not only do I get to see you, show up for everyone else and show up for us. She comes out to Orange County and shows up for our events out here. But I've had so many women tell me that you've shown up for them and I've never seen it on social media. It just out. I think there was a conversation of where you ran into someone at a store and they were having a bad day and you showed up for them, like literally
Yeah,
random,
that was so weird.
random. Yeah. So it's not even just events. It's not just people what we're posting
Yeah,
on social media. These are things that our women are telling me, and you're so good at that. And you're right. Is when we serve others and really serve in our purpose, that's when
yeah,
things will unravel for us because we're not
true.
in charge of where we're supposed to be and what's going to happen. We just got to show up
Just show
and
up.
do what we're supposed to do.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Even Rob, people running into him, and I remember this lady ran into him at CVS. Aren't you Karen's husband?
He's like, what?
He's like,
Who's Karen? Just kidding.
who's this lady? I was at home, and he texts me. He's like, I just ran into this lady in CVS that thinks I'm married to you.
That thinks I'm married to you.
I said, see, you gotta behave yourself in the streets. People know you now.
Oh my God, that is funny. That happens. So my son goes out there now because of his profession, and
Oh
people
yeah,
will take photos with him and then send it to me, and I'm like, why are you in a photo with my son? Like me being a mom, I'm like, why? They're like,
right.
oh, I
Like,
saw him at the
yeah,
event. And I'm like, how do you even know that's my son? Oh, I saw him on your
right.
social media. I'm like, poor kid
Yeah.
is probably like,
Like, mom, who are these people?
yeah, but he's
But
killing it.
again, your son puts us all grown people to shame. I know, and I tell
Us
him when I
grown
see him, I'm like, dude, because at your age, we're still trying to figure out life, and you got a whole business going. I like,
I don't even know what life was. 19. Wow, wow. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, Karen. You know that.
yes,
And it's
same.
always an honor to showcase you and let the world know who you are, what you do, and the impact that you're making, because that's what we're all about. So, without further ado, anyone who has not connected with Karen, let them know how they can get in touch with you.
Definitely, I am Karen Will Coach on all platforms. I spend quite most of my time is on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook every so often. But Karen Will Coach, and you can also find me at my website, Karen Williams Coaching.
And then if you are a Boo sister and you haven't gotten your interview done and you want to let the world know who you are, but of course I would be so honored to interview you and get to know you even deeper than Karen. I'm just kidding. And I'll come with the questions. I'll even ask you some personal questions. Now I scared them all. They're like, no.
Right.
So be sure to reach out to us so we can get you your interview. And don't forget to reach out to Karen if you have not connected with her. But even if you have, get in touch. This is what it's all about. How can we support one another? If there's something you heard in this interview that maybe is a resource or you would like a resource, feel free to reach out to Karen. All
Absolutely.
right. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you, Mary Grace.